Welcome to Sports Lab Overtime. I'm here today with Jordan Liu. A final appearance here on Sports Lab Overtime before she heads off into the big world of the industry or wherever she heads. We know she'll be a successful grad student. Jordan, I know we've had you on here quite a bit, but I think you maybe share that resume a little bit of what all you've done, where you hope to go next, and kind of fill people in on what Jordan Liu has done in her time as a Gator.
Okay, my time as a Gator. Well, before I was a Gator, I did my undergrad at NYU, so studied politics in New York, and then kind of shifted 180. I was like, I really love sports, so why not give it a shot? And then worked for the Yankees for a little bit, doing sales there. Wasn't really my thing. However, that kind of made me pivot and kind of got maybe like the direction I needed, a little push I needed to go back to school. Born and raised a Florida Gator. My mom went here, so I've bled orange and blue my whole life, and I knew this was the place that I wanted to be at, and with such a great athletic program as well, and a great journalism and communication school. So honestly, I love my time as a Gator. This past year and a half was like everything and more. I got to do so much. I got to be involved with ESPN, whether that's reporting, writing, as well as managing a great social media team, as well as doing overtime, which I've loved. I've also got to work with the UAA and their communications team, and that has really presented me with a lot of cool experiences and opportunities. Got to meet a lot of amazing peers and people there as well. So honestly, like 10-10 experience as a Gator, and I'm gonna miss Gainesville. So I will be back.
Well, I can tell Gainesville and the folks here at the CJC will definitely be missing you as well, especially that social media team. Jordan's done a lot of work this semester. If you follow the WRUF social accounts, a big part of that push has come from Jordan. And you know, we've covered everything from volleyball to football to now basketball, including last night at Madison Square Garden. The Florida Gators headed up to New York, had an opportunity to play UConn, who had won back-to-back national championships, and Florida ended that run when they won the national championship last year, as you see behind me. And so, Jordan, look, you've been here a year and a half as far as at the school, and you've already experienced the national championship. You've been through the big highs, but last night felt like another one of those, maybe a little bit of a low point to some degree. They were in the game to the very end, which I think I have a lot of points on that I want to get to, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts after coming off the national championship. I think there were some high expectations for this team, especially with the two highly regarded big transfer names in Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland, who have not necessarily lived up to the expectations that I think everyone had. The team as a whole hasn't. Where do you kind of land after watching them last night and then watching them last week against Duke, how they're kind of filling up against your expectations, and then wondering, like, should you have maybe had lower expectations coming into the year?
Yes, so obviously coming off of a national championship and having like the best backcourt ever in program history, I would argue it's definitely a hard, kind of high to come down from. And I think in the preseason, even when we did our preview together, I was always preaching like guards win in March. So obviously now with these non-conference games under our belt, I've become definitely more cautious, and my expectations have undoubtedly fallen a little bit, or a lot. We've had 3 opportunities this non-con to really show what we can do, and for our backcourt of Boogie and Xavier to really adjust and kind of make their presence known on the team. However, 3 huge games against Arizona, Duke, and UConn, we have fallen short. There is undoubtedly like no one on this team that can replace the clutch genes of Walter Clayton Jr. or Will Richard or Elijah Martin. Those 3 always stepped up when we needed them to, and I feel like Boogie and Xavier haven't really gotten comfortable on the team enough to do that. Obviously, there's a lot of problems with their performances as well as, some decision making. However, I just think that honestly, like, I just remember in the preseason where everybody was talking about how, yeah, this backcourt isn't going to be as good. Honestly, Florida isn't going to be as good. And me as a fan, like, I kind of ignored that a little bit because I was like, no, like, I trust the coaching. I trust, our analytics team. But now you know what? Great call from the haters. Great call from haters. I now also doubt our abilities to go far in March just because, like, if you can't win, if you can't close out games, like, that's all March is. And, like, what makes me more positive about kind of like where I see this team going is like I try to really cope by telling myself that okay, like the 3 losses have been to top 5 teams. Like, and honestly, those 3 games have all been essentially away games. So we've put ourselves in positions to win the entire like 3 times that we played these teams, and we just have fallen short. So I'm praying that throughout this tough non-con schedule that we have, we've learned, we've grown, and then we really make those adjustments during SEC play. So by the time that March comes around, then we can face these teams again, and then we can hopefully have a better outcome. So yeah.
Yeah, so I'm where I kind of landed on it after, and this is a lot of thinking and just trying to work through. I kind of come in with different expectations. I think because I wasn't here to start the year. I came here in May, right after the big run, and I was interviewing here the week of the Final Four, the week after the Final Four, and so I got to be around it a little bit, right? Like I knew what was happening for the university, but I wasn't here, so I didn't have all of those built-in expectations based on what the high was a year ago. But I still had high hopes after talking to people like you on overtime and just around the campus that this team was going to be maybe not quite as good, but good enough to go win another national title. And I still think that there is an opportunity here that they could go on a run. What I'll say is I think this, barring injury, I think this is the worst that this team will look the rest of the season. And what I mean by that is I think they're going to get better. I think that this is a low point for the team, not a medium point or even their high mark. They have lost to 3 top 5 teams by a combined 11 points. That's impressive. I know there's no moral victories when you're coming off a national championship, but in my mind there kind of is, and that especially when you're trying to get 2 you mentioned guards win in March. You're trying to get 2 new guards acclimated to a brand new team. You're also running a more big centered lineup, something you didn't have to do last year and wouldn't have wanted to do. You've also had some guys that are coming back who have now become more focal points for the team, and they haven't necessarily risen up to be in that role just yet. I'm thinking of Micah Hanlogden. There's been some struggles with Alex Condon. Things that you almost felt like they were check marks that you could count on have not been there. And yet, nobody's blown this team out.
Right.
The TCU game was the most troubling one because it's like, okay, that feels very random. But as I watched that game, and I watched that one from start to finish, I kind of left watching that going, yeah, but it's Thanksgiving. It's on the road again.
The refs were
refs. I was going to say, to me, that game was dictated more by the refs than anything. There were so many, like every call on both teams.
Yeah.
Like I don't even mean that in that they were Florida against Florida. They were just trying to make it a show for themselves. Every single call went against both sides. There were just you couldn't get into rhythm. And this is a team that likes to play with a lot of pace and likes to play with some tempo and it's hard and physicality. And you can't do that if you're getting calls every 2 seconds. And so I think for me, this is a team that still has a very high ceiling. The floor is just a lot lower than what we saw a year ago.
Yeah, I think with what you said about the refs, like, I mean, if we look at Duke, that missed goaltending, like, if we got that call, we would have won at Cameron Indoor, and that would have been our signature win for our resume. Like, right now, we don't even have, like, a quad 1 or a quad 1A game under our resume, and, like, it's very concerning up to this point because we're already in December, and this time last year, granted, we didn't play, like, these big, big name teams in the non-con, but we were 15-0 last year, and we only had 4 losses the entire season, and we already have 4 losses now. So that's kind of what worries me. And honestly, like the 1 seed, I don't know if that is something that's attainable if we don't go nearly undefeated in SEC play now, because that's just like, how do you even argue getting a 1 seed if you lost 3 of your marquee matchups in the non-con? And especially now, I also see what you mean, like the ceiling. I was actually thinking about this yesterday. I think the ceiling for this team is Final Four. Like, I don't know if we can go back to back with this team. I think the highest that we can go is maybe a Final Four, and that is if everything goes right during, like, March Madness, if the matchups are good, if, because it's just the clutch genes aren't there. And, like, if we can't close out in those moments, it's kind of like what makes you think that we can somehow learn months or so. So I am very worried about that, and just like the leadership on this team. Yeah, Alex Condon supposed to not really doing too hot, very inconsistent, and Thomas Houck in our preseason preview, I did Thomas Houck all SEC and All American, and that campaign is going great for me so far. He's doing really good. But yeah, this team, like, there's so much frustration when it comes to watching them play, because you could tell that if everything clicks, even if a few more threes just fall, then like some of these games would go our way. And you can see with Todd Golden too. Like in his press conference, he's so frustrated because he knows the potential of this team. He's with them at practice every day. He knows what they can do. It's just we're not executing that on the court when it matters. And that is something that this team really has to learn. And just the 3 chances of closing a game and not being able to do so is what's so frustrating to me. Like, I can't even get my hopes up anymore when I'm watching these games, because I know it's just not going to end the way that we want it to. Like, and I'm not gonna blame a single person. However, Boogie Fland, great on defense. However, in those clutch moments, give it to Tommy. That is the best player on our team. Every single time we've had a chance to tie or win a game is in Boogie's hands, and he somehow always messes it up. He's probably the least clutch player of all time. Like, I don't know what's going on. But Thomas Houck, like, he's been under those bright lights before. He knows what it takes to, like, come back from a deficit. Let's put the ball in his hands. Yeah.
No, I'm with you. Look, I think, all your concerns are valid. And yeah, I mean, you're talking 1 seed. I pulled it up while you were talking. So Joe Lunardi does the bracketology for ESPN. Been doing it for a long time. So if you follow it, he currently has Florida in the Tampa, in the West region, to start Tampa, which would be really cool for what it's worth. To start in Tampa, you get to go out there and
home crowd,
5 seed.
You know what? I said that we were going to be an 8 seed, so that's better than what I was expecting.
Well, so currently Georgia is an 8 seed, and let me tell you, that Georgia basketball program has never been talked about as an 8 seed, and that will be back-to-back. Mike White doing some stuff.
You know what? I've seen the mumblings of the Georgia, because they beat, who did they beat? They beat them by like
State.
40. Right.
Yeah.
They beat, but hey, this is Mike White basketball. Keep your hopes low. This is what he does every year.
107
it's a cycle.
to 73, I think, to Florida State, which is crazy.
Yeah, he's going to get you one marquee win, couple marquee wins, and then he's going to lose some atrocious games.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see. It's the Mike White experience.
Yeah. But the Todd Golden experience will tell you that the 5 seed is not great for them, right? Like that you would expect higher. And I think thinking it through now, he updated it yesterday, which means he's not taking the UConn loss probably into consideration yet. It's interesting, though. I'm looking. The 1 seeds currently projected. Michigan and Iowa State. And then the other 2, Duke, Arizona. So
we lost. Yeah.
So you've lost to that. And then the 2 seeds are Gonzaga, BYU, Purdue, UConn. So you're talking of the 4 losses. Three of the 4 losses have come to 2 teams that are currently projected as 1 seeds, and another that's projected as a 2 seed. Now, I'm not seeing, off first glance, I'm not seeing TCU in here.
Yeah, I don't think they're making the dance.
Which means, there may be a loss now to a team that's an NIT bound team, and so that's less than ideal if we're being honest. Yeah, sorry. TCU is one of the first 4 out, along with Butler, LSU, Missouri, and TCU. This is very early. We're in December. We haven't gotten to conference play. One, that TCU loss may become one that looks a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see how they do.
And so let's just see how they do, because look, they've beaten so far. They are sitting at 6-3. They lost to New Orleans, which is a little concerning.
Yeah.
They beat St. Francis. They beat Lamar. They lost by 4 to Michigan, which Michigan's been on a run.
Right. Michigan has beat everybody by 30, 40.
But they only beat TCU by 4.
Moral victory.
Kansas City they destroyed, and then they beat Florida by 4. Wisconsin they beat by 11. They lost to Notre Dame by 2, and they beat North Texas.
Notre Dame isn't.
Notre Dame's not great. So a little nervous about the fact that the TCU loss is going to be on the resume, especially here's what I'll say. If Florida struggles in SEC play, there's a chance that TCU loss comes back to bite them, whether it be through seeding or if they somehow end up on the bubble. That TCU loss could become a big, big talking point for a lot of people. Now, look, there's another world where TCU ends up being the Big 12 champion, and we all sit around.
Hot take, Justin.
I'm not saying they will
yeah.
by any stretch of the imagination, but there's a world where, like, I mean, I don't know what the Big 12's got going on right now. So Houston's there. Yeah, that's right.
Texas Tech.
So probably not winning but let's just say they make a concerted effort to be the third best team or fourth best team, because Iowa State is really, really good.
Oh, that's true.
And then Arizona. But if they're in the top half of that conference specifically, you've got Arizona, Iowa State, Houston. If they're in the 4th or 5th spot in that conference, you feel pretty good about the loss to TCU. But if we're talking about in about 2 or 3 months that TCU is on bottom 3 or 4, that loss then becomes a much bigger deal. Even though it's only by 4, and you were on the road out in Vegas, which again I thought that was a very weird scheduling thing for Florida. They had multiple big tournaments going on in Florida at the same time. Like there was one in Fort Myers. They had like the Fort Myers Challenge.
Yeah,
I want to say Michigan State, and somebody was in that one.
Yeah, they had the ESPN Invitational, which we did last year. So there was multiple, but see, I feel like that one, even the scheduling, those are 2 games that we should have won.
Sure.
Yeah.
100%. But
right.
I'm of the belief that, like, from a scheduling standpoint, if you can play a tournament in your backyard, it makes it a little easier for you.
That's true.
But just looking at the losses, Duke and UConn by a point and by 4 points, and even the Arizona one by 6 or so, I have a hard time getting upset at those losses. It's the TCU one that stands out for me. And truthfully, the Florida State win, to me, is a scarier thought than even some of the close losses.
I actually forgot about that. Yes.
Yeah, winning by 2 to Florida State, because that was really close. At home, right.
That was very scary. But you know what? I think I'm going to cope more and say that was a rivalry game, and that the FA, because, you know, honestly, one thing about coming into the season, everybody was saying that, you know, every single time a team plays Florida this year, they're going to bring it their all. Like, they're going to give us their 100% because we are the defending national champions. So there's a lot of factors. I think it's just like, because we are, you know, the title holders, every team that we face up against, they are always going to give us everything they've got. And especially with FSU, I mean, this is a new head coach. This is also a team that obviously hates the Gators. So I feel like there was a lot of factors for that. There was a lot of motivation. But there is a lot of concerning things. Yeah, with SEC play, like, we have so many of our big games at home. You just need to win those. Like, I think you can at most lose 2 games in SEC play if you want like a 1 to 3 seed, because like if not, then it's not going to look good. They're going to pull up the TCU loss and they're going to be like, well, why did you lose that game, right? And if TCU doesn't make the dance, it's going to look way worse. So, but you know what? Another thing that's kind of keeping me more positive is I was looking at the Ken Palm rankings as well, and we are number 15. So even with these 4 losses, like, if we just look at, analytics and the stats. Like, we are still just the number 15 team. Like, there's so much potential there. It's just like whether or not everything pulls together and if shots drain. Like, the 3-point percentage is really what is holding us back. I think if we made even 2 more threes just in the game, we would win 2 out of the 3 that we lost. So it's like, if we just can get some 3-pointers to fall, this team would look completely different. And it's just like that minor adjustment that would just make such a big difference. Even when I was watching the UConn game, UConn they can make shots and we can't. That was just like the bottom line of like what happened, because we played physical, we did great in the paint, we got, we out rebounded them. One thing about us is like we are so good at rebounding, and it's kind of frustrating because even though we're great at rebounding and getting those second chance points, like we miss so many of those just because we're not great in the perimeter shots, and that's just really frustrating. And it's also really frustrating to see the other team make those threes. Like, I think every single time like the opposing team is shooting a 3, I feel like it's always going to go in just because we never really see our shots go in. So that's kind of what's worrying me. And also another thing that worries me is did you see the AP poll this week? Like this week's AP poll has a lot of significance because it's like every single national champion in the past, like, I don't even know, like 20 years or something like that, has been in the top 10 or top 12 of this week's AP poll, and we are not. So last year around this time we were number 9. So, I mean, we're kind of going against history here. And you know what? Anything can happen, but it's really not looking good for us if we're just going off of history. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's honestly the tough part, Jordan. And then you start looking, I mean, they are still top 13 in odds. Like, the odds makers still have Florida 13th. And there's only one SEC school above them, and that's Alabama. And technically they have the same odds. They're tied with Florida. So, I mean, with that in mind, like, you still think they're probably favored to go win the SEC. Which, look, the next 4 games to me are very important. They play George Washington, St. Francis, Colgate, and Dartmouth.
Yeah, you got to win those.
You got it all 4 of those.
And
you lose one
close.
of those, it can't be close. You got to go smash every one of those teams. And then they start SEC play on January the 3rd at Missouri before returning home to play Georgia on January the 6th. And then
Which
Tennessee.
Justin will be at, probably.
I will probably be at that game.
Wearing
for sure.
blue.
Well, I'll definitely be at that game. Yeah, I'll be wearing my, whatever I wear to work that day. I'll walk over to the O-Dome and catch the Georgia Florida game. Florida Georgia game. Sorry. Yeah, I got the look from Jordan there.
Yeah.
Look, I think that so the next 4 games and then that opening stretch of SEC play, Missouri, Georgia, Tennessee, because I think you're getting Missouri is probably the only one that's kind of on the bubble. Georgia and Tennessee are going to be in the tournament, in my opinion, just based on how things have gone so far this season. I think you're pretty much looking at Georgia's 8-1, currently projected as an 8 seed.
Hey, but they haven't played anyone.
I didn't say they had. They wrecked Florida State. They beat Georgia Tech, beat Xavier, and then lost close to Clemson. But if by the time they get to play Florida, they'll have played Auburn on the 3rd at home. And if they win that game, there's a chance Georgia comes into this game 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 14-1, 15-1, somewhere in there. I'm not good at math. That's not my strong suit. But they could be coming into Florida with a really good record. But right now, the matchup predictor has Georgia losing to Florida, 8% chance that Florida wins that game. But I say that, and then the Tennessee game at 69% for Florida. They're still projected to go win these games. I'm interested to see the Alabama game is probably the one that.
Yeah, that one's.
And they
gonna
still
be
have
huge.
Florida at 64% chance of winning that game.
Yeah, because it's at home.
It's at home.
I
And
think,
so you start looking at the schedule, Jordan. The next 3 to 4 games, it's really the next 4, and then the next 3 after that. If they can go undefeated and win every single one of those games and come out heading home in Vandy, which Vandy's going to be another tough
Vandy
test.
will be
They're
great.
top 15.
Yeah.
And actually, Vandy is currently projected in the matchup predictor to beat Florida.
Vandy
60%.
looks good right now, yeah.
So you start looking at it and go, okay, if you can be, what would that put them at? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 4. If they're 13 and 4 heading to Vandy at the time, there's a chance they come out of Vandy. If they win that game 14 and 4, you're right back on track for a 1 or a 2 seed, to be truthfully.
And you know what? This year, the SEC is not great. Like, the SEC is not great compared to last year. I mean, the teams just do not look as good, which honestly kind of makes me feel better because, we thought Kentucky was going to be like a shoe-in Final Four, but with their $22 million roster, however, honestly, like their panic meter, I think it's 10 worse than our panic meter. So,
and it should be.
Yeah, and they have a lot to fix up in Lexington. Alabama does look great. They're probably going to be the favorites to win the SEC now. And then, Tennessee have also gone through their, ups and downs. Like, they beat Houston other games that they shouldn't have lost. So Tennessee's kind of going up and down as well. I mean, Auburn is nowhere near as good as they were last year. And Arkansas, Arkansas very good. However, they've also lost a few games that they shouldn't have. So the SEC is just wide open, I think. And I think it's still very probable that Florida is going to win regular season. I do believe that Florida still has a really good chance just because of our favorable home schedule. Like, we have a great home advantage this season, which, the SEC gave us because we had such a hard schedule from last year, and we also are the national champion. So I think it worked out really well for us, and it's just, I think with this rough non-con start, it's good that we got this experience. We got to play in some of these environments and honestly, get to learn a lot about this team. And throughout the next 3 months, it's really just how much you can limit turnovers, get those 3-point shots to fall, and then everything should be clicking, I think. So with the turnovers, if Florida limits themselves under turnovers a game, which sounds like a lot, but I think from the pace of play, we play really fast, so it's going to happen. And with our guards, they are also turnover prone, but just limit to under 15. I think we're gonna be in every single game, and yeah, the SEC is going to be a bloodbath. But we'll see.
And maybe not a bloodbath same way it was a season ago.
Right. The level of basketball will probably be a little dip from last year for sure.
Yeah. But Jordan, I want to switch gears real quick. We've talked a lot about current basketball team. And look, we needed to decompress after last night. I think that was the biggest thing, and just try to take stock of where this team is. But now I want to talk a little bit more fun. I think it's more fun. Kind of a year in review, and look, we don't really have a plan for this, and looking at some of the best moments and best players and all that kind of stuff. And you've been here for the duration of 2025. I guess the answer is obvious, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Do you have a favorite moment from the last year? I mean, anything that a story that you can kind of tell us that really stands out that you feel comfortable sharing? Yeah.
So I will start with basketball since that's the number one thing that comes to my mind, but I have actually top 3 moments. So number 3, I'm going to pick the Auburn Final Four game. I have a really fun story with that. So I was working the softball game that day. They needed extra help, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go because I want to offer help. And even though I might miss the beginning of the game, I'm there. Okay, so we were playing Arkansas. So I was at the softball stadium, and the game goes into extra innings, and we're all stressed out because we all want to leave. However, it goes to 9, 10, 11 innings, right? And we have the game on the TV in the press box. However, I can't watch because I am so nervous, and we were down that whole entire first half too. So I was just I can't watch. that game actually ended, the softball game, on a grand slam home run. We end up winning. After we end up winning, I run over, I got picked up, I got dropped off at rights, and I made it to the last 7 minutes of the game, of the Auburn game. So I missed like the entire game. However, that was kind of when we started catching up, kind of, building a little bit of the lead, kind of going back and forth, and then saw the Elijah Martin iconic two dunks. Like the first one where he was just looks like he was taking off, taking flight. The second one where he had that poster against Tahad Pettiford and Chadwick Mazzara, like that was electric. So I will never forget that. Second was honestly probably one of my favorite stories ever is the Texas Tech Elite Eight game. So the Texas Tech game, I was also at Rice for the watch party, and it was dead silent when it came to the 4-minute mark. Like we all thought it was over, and that was kind of when I started praying to anything that would hear me to like please get. I will not ask for anything else, and I don't care what happens. I just want to win this game. All hope was lost, and I feel like, and I literally thought to myself, this is such a Florida way to lose the game. And then miraculously, we had Tommy hit those 2 threes, and we had Walt. I look over to my friend, and she literally looks like she's been resurrected. We thought it was over, and then we came back. So that was honestly the best moment ever. And then obviously, number one, we have the national championship on April 10th. I also thought it was over. I feel like that was the story of like our whole entire run. It was just like, I thought we were over. I thought it was over. I thought the 12-point deficit was too much, and then we came back, and honestly, storming University was night of my life. Like, I think I'm going to be chasing that high for the rest of my life. But those 3 were my favorite. What about you, Justin? Like, do you have any? I'm trying to think of the football ones as well, but I would say the LIU game was really fun just because we were all very like lighthearted. The Texas game was also really, really good. Another country for that, so I got a unique experience. And Florida, Georgia, of course. I loved my whole Florida, Georgia experience. I was there in Jacksonville. I wish the, outcome was different. However, honestly, from start to finish, I had a really good day that day in Jacksonville. So,
well, you had a great experience. That was obviously a fun game for me to kind of get experience for the first time working here and growing up on the other side of this thing. It was an interesting dichotomy, so to speak. I don't know, that might be the right word. Trying to use big words. And I've kind of racked my brain on this. I guess number one is probably, I loved the LIU game because it was my fight game in the swamp. Like, first night game in the experience, went back down for the first time in the swamp at night. I'd come to the Alabama game a few years ago, but it was it was drizzling rain. It wasn't a like fun atmosphere.
But it was electric.
It was electric, but it wasn't as fun as like where it's nighttime, everybody's jumping around, having a good time. I was sitting at the 50-yard line. I think I stayed for most of the fourth quarter. It was just a fun environment. I had a good time at that game. And then Texas. Texas was a lot of fun. I got a really good video of Arch throwing an interception, and we posted that for one day. I think I did all right. I would say that's probably up there. Other good memories, I would say.
Ring night.
Yeah, Merrimack Ring night was insane. Jordan's the real MVP. Went and got a couple of our folks the replica ring. And then I got opening night for basketball was fun.
Taylor Swift night for
volleyball.
Justin was number 1 in line.
I was the first person in line at Taylor Swift volleyball night. I got the shirt and all that, and then accidentally, we won't go into all the, but it was a fun night. I had a good time there. That was good. I've actually really enjoyed this first semester here at Florida and getting to be around the sports, talking sports with students like Jordan. But I probably the number one memory is doing sports overtime with all the amazing students here at the University of Florida. Look, y'all are top tier, like top notch. There's some students I'm looking at going, they're gonna be better than I will ever be at this. And so I think that's been a big part of this too. Really getting to socialize and becoming friends with some of these wonderful people here at the university, like Kevin Winter, Shamar Woods. I mean, there's so much talent professionally and as students. I've really just enjoyed that. And all the group chats for the games have been a ton of fun. Watching some historic crash outs from some folks in those group chats has been great. The night of DJ Lagway's benching will always be one that we remember for Rob Russo having a rant of sorts. And so I think that there's been a lot of really good memories, more so centered around the people that I've gotten to watch it with or like interact with. I was in New Orleans for the LSU game. I was there for a conference completely separate. And I got to meet Brad Bill at the airport. Gator great. And I didn't meet, I wanted a picture, but I didn't want to be that person because we were both there for like a 6 a.m. flight. But we did get breakfast from the same little shop. I got like a little breakfast burrito. Brad got him something else. And hey, we shared a Go Gators together, which was really cool. And then right after that, of course, somebody walks up and was like, "Hey, can I get a picture?" And he did it like willingly.
Justin missed his chance.
And I really missed my chance to just get Brad. It was so funny because he turned around in line and I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. And then I'm like, why do I know this guy? Because I'm in the middle of this airport in New Orleans. I know no one.
And he's like huge.
And he's really tall. And I'm like, he's got to be a basketball. And then I was like, wait a minute. This is Bradley Bill. Because I looked down and he had on some Florida track pants or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this has got to be Bradley Bill. And so then like 2 minutes later, somebody walks up, take a picture. And I'm like, gosh, I really should have. And then I saw where he was flying to too. And I was like, oh, that really was Bradley Bill. So I hate I missed the opportunity to get a picture, but again, it's 6 a.m.
Right.
Me personally, if I'm even as a celebrity, I would not want to be bothered. I just want to eat my breakfast, dog.
That is true. But anything for Gators, anything for Gator Nation. Yeah, Bradley Beal is a Gator. He has engaged with a lot of our posts too. So we love Bradley Beal here. But also, yeah, like what you said, I also love the group chats and all the people that we've really shared this semester with. It's, sports is meant to bring people together. And I feel like that's really what we've done, and it's just made it so much more fun and so much more engaging. I feel like for everyone here at UF and CJC and the INC in general, we have a really cute little community here, and I think it's super special. But also another thing that we forgot to mention was the Lane Kiffin experience. That whole roller coaster was so fun. Even though it was very scary and very frustrating at times, looking back, that was probably the highlight of it because it just went on for most of the semester, and we were all tracking flights, tracking literally what he was eating, when he was breathing. It was just absolutely hilarious. But now we have our coach, we have our guy Summerall. It's in Florida, Summerall year round.
Are you Summerall in?
I am. The press conference got me. I'm bought in.
Okay.
And you know what? I think, he's just so different from Billy Napier in terms of energy, charisma, and how outspoken he is. So I think it's a good change for the program, and I'm excited to see what he does. I think now we got to just retain Jaden Ball, retain the receivers, and mostly Jaden Ball. So we shall see. But yeah, this Lane Kiffin whole entire thing was so fun.
Yeah, the Lane Kiffin thing brought out
a lot of
the
laughter.
Best or worst of me. I don't really know, but I felt like I was constantly tracking it. Kevin Perez was my favorite throughout that whole process because he's like, Justin, you're keeping me sane. You're giving me hope. And then
you gave him too much hope.
I gave him way too much hope, I think, because he was hanging on everything that we were talking about. And then when the report came out from Zach Albaverdi, he goes, Justin, is this real? And I'm like, yes, buddy, that's Zach Albaverdi. Yeah, it's real. And so I felt bad for him because I think he kind of put all of his stock into Lane. A lot of people did.
Yeah, a lot of people did.
And I think it was close. I really do. I think that I think it was a lot closer than people realized on him wanting to be here at Florida. I do think that it probably did come down to a lot of what we heard, that there was some disagreements over the GM initially. Scott Strickland, according to everything we've heard in the recent weeks, is that he was willing to kind of capitulate to that, was okay with Lane bringing his guy.
Yeah.
But maybe the damage was already done or whatever. I don't really know what all went on behind the scenes, but Lane's Lane,
Right.
and he's a character, and
It's the Lane Kiffin experience.
It's the Lane Kiffin experience, and yeah, I mean that one's got to be up there because
It has to be.
We had a lot of fun. There was a lot of memes before and after the announcement.
Yeah, you know what? I think for every student body or just like fan community of LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida, we'll never forget this. Like we've all three fan bases have had the Lane Kiffin experience this semester. And honestly, I think it's brought a lot of people, a lot of laughter. And for me, it's just at some points throughout this journey of maybe getting Lane Kiffin, I always just think to myself, like, our bubble we're caring about something so much that, like, I feel like even people outside of the South, like, do not really understand the gravity of. It's just, like, what makes the SEC so special? It's just, like, it just means more here. Like, this is a college football, like, amateur sports coach that we are all so, like, we're quite literally talking about him 24/7 every single day. And it's funny because, like, I did watch a Texas game in Scotland, and it's, like, they don't even know who Lane is. And it's just, like, so funny because we're all in our own little world. And, like, we were just so bought into this guy and, like, where is he going to go? Tracking his plane. Where is his family going? Like, oh, they're in Baton Rouge. It was cinema.
It really was. And I think that's one of those things I'll look back on, even not just in a year or two, but like 10 years from now. I'll remember like tracking the planes with some of my students and being able to talk to y'all throughout that whole process.
Core memory.
It's a core memory of my first semester as a professor, whatever you want to call it, whatever I'm doing here at this point. A little bit of everything, I guess. Running socials, adjuncting, and doing all the things. And that's been a ton of fun. Was definitely following the Lane Kiffin saga. The press conferences throughout the season were a lot of fun.
Oh, they were fun. Making the graphics for those.
The one that I keep coming back to is
It's What Got Us Here?
Yeah, the play calling. They asked Billy Napier about the play calling. He's like, yeah, I'm going to keep calling plays because that's what got us here. And I heard it. I ran it back, and then I heard it again, and I went running. And I'm a big dude. I don't run a lot, but I went running to Kevin Winter's office, and I was like, Kevin, go back. You got to listen to this. And he goes, what is wrong with you, dude? And I'm like, listen to this quote. And he played it, and he goes, oh, no. He's like, well, that's wild, because I think we all were.
Yeah, and that got, like, I think 200 comments in, like, 20 minutes maybe. It was
probably the most viral quote of the year. I mean, in terms of just like, I knew what he was trying to get at because he's right. Like his play calling did get him the head coaching job at Florida. Like whether people like that or not, it is what got him to this place. And look, he won 40 games at ULL and went 40-12 with 4 conference championship appearances. Like the dude had a resume. Like JMU got a good one for the Sun Belt.
Yeah, Sun Belt Billy.
That was another one of the great quotes of the semester was Jacob LaFrance, the former, I guess he was GM or whatever here, or one of the many roles that they had. And his tweet was after the Texas game was Sun Belt Billy and the boys proved everybody wrong or whatever. I don't remember exactly what. But it was Sun Belt Billy and the boys. And I'm like, why are we just shooting ourselves in the foot at this point? Like after the loss to USF, everybody just has to be quiet, not say anything. Like, and that was another good experience. I got to experience the touchdown terrace for the first time.
Yes.
Which there were so many Uncrustables.
Luxurious.
There were so many Uncrustables, Jordan. I've never seen so many Uncrustables in my life.
That's such a niche thing to have there in the touchdown terrace.
Yeah, it was out on the little patio area. They had like a hot dog bar, popcorn, nachos, and there was a table of and they had these little baskets. Yeah. And the baskets were filled with strawberry Uncrustables. And you would grab a couple and there'd be more just It was almost like in a Harry Potter movie or something where like
Mm-hmm.
things just like you grab it and then it reappears immediately. That's what it felt like. It was just like never ending Uncrustables. And they added some other great stuff. There's ice cream and Pepsi, and that's been a really big adjustment for me being down here, is going from Coke to Pepsi. I'm a Georgia guy, lived there my whole life. It's always been Coke, and then I'm drinking Pepsi.
Mm-hmm.
But drank a ton of Pepsi that day. There was a lot of good stuff there. So that was a lot of fun, minus the loss. But I will say, like, if I had to pick my favorite won't back down of the season, it might be the USF one, because I feel like everybody in that stadium felt like they were singing their hearts out
because we really didn't want to lose,
in hopes of not losing. Like, you were trying to inspire this team to, like, hey guys, wake up. And then they immediately go and score. If I remember right, they immediately go score the touchdown to take the lead, and we're all sitting there going, man, they hurt us.
They hurt us. That worked. Yeah, you know what? Won't back down. On every single won't back down is gonna make my list. Like, I get so emotional during won't back down. Like, I'll be in the press box and I'm like tearing up. Like, every single time, it makes me so emotional. And like, especially my last one at Florida State, I was just like, oh my god, this is my last one back down as a student, and like, I'm gonna miss it so much. Love the Gators. Like, it just makes me so grateful and like so just like feel so in touch with everybody in the stadium, because we're all just like rooting for our team that hasn't had a great season, and just kind of, no matter what happens in all kinds of weather, we're all going to be here supporting the Gators. So yeah, I love the one back down. That one was a really good one. I was there with a lot of my close friends, and even though we lost, it was one of my favorite days as well.
The Tennessee game.
That was my least favorite memory of the whole entire season. That's actually number 1 of 2025, my least favorite. I really dislike Tennessee. That's my number 1 rival that I really don't like. And the Tennessee streak was everything that I protected. Like, I wanted to protect that streak. And, we haven't lost to them since I was like 2 years old, 1 year old. So like, when we lost, that was really hard for me. That was a very hard loss. I would say that was my hardest loss as a Gator, just because I really, really do not like Tennessee, and I don't like when they beat us in football.
The shirt twirling, like when we hit shirt twirling territory, I'm like, oh no.
The 31-0 at halftime was the low point of the season for me, I think.
Well, then it became, can you protect the streak?
The shutout streak. If we lost the shutout streak and the Tennessee at home streak in the same night, I think I would have gone just like in a cave and never came back out. That would have ruined my entire, and I sacrificed everything for that national championship in April. I did. In the Texas Tech game, I was like, I don't care about anything else. I'll sacrifice anything else. Sacrifice the football season. Sacrifice the Tennessee streak.
Jordan, are you the reason that the football season went off the rails?
Honestly, it might be me. It actually might be me. But you know what? Hey, we'll always have that 24-25 basketball season. You
got Walter Clayton. You got the championship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about worst experiences. I mean, that Tennessee game was rough. I'm sitting there. I was in the lower bowl area, and I remember texting the group chat, and I was like, it was like the first quarter. I was like, there's people leaving. And I think Laura McGill's on the field, and she goes, there's nobody leaving. And like, I went to go take a video, but they were fouled out so quick. Like, they were like blurs coming through my screen. I'm like,
yeah, it was like every single time in the group chat, I was like, no way we're going to go 14-0. No way we're going to go 21-0. No way we're going to go 28-0. It was just like, we were just sitting there in disbelief. I think I started laughing at this game because it was just like comically bad football that we were playing.
My favorite from that game, and my least favorite technically, I guess, was it DJ that like stands up and like he does
the first down when we were down
like 28-0, and I'm like, brother.
That was a generational meme. Like, I saw that on Twitter so much. That was really bad.
Oh yeah, it's still going.
It's still going. But you know what? FSU game, we won. Jaden Ball got his 1,000 yards. He had over 260 rushing yards. So we bounced back. But it kind of sucks since we're not going to play Tennessee next year, so we can't get a get-back game. But next time we play Tennessee, we better be ready. And Summerall, that's all I ask of you. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, look, the Summerall era starting has been a big that's a good point for. I think there was a very short period where everybody's upset about Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Then the press conference starts,
and then we won the press conference.
Yeah, if you want to talk about winning a press conference, Lane looked very awkward at his at LSU, talking about the people in Mississippi like running him off the road, which everybody says may not be true now, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that whole thing has been a mess. But Summerall did a really good job of immediately like ingratiating himself to the people here. My favorite part, love him to death, Isaac Edelman. One of our students here, one of my favorite people to be around. Isaac hit him with a question, and I know Isaac's heart. I know Isaac well enough now to know, like, he knows that he was kind of like he was trying to sound like connect with the coach by saying the year. And he meant 04. He had it written down as 04, but he said 09 because it kind of looked 09-ish. Anyway, Isaac asked him 09 what it was like being in the swamp. He's like, I wasn't in the swamp in 09. And he's like, well, maybe I got it wrong. And when he said, drop the maybe cuz, you could see Summerall's personality come out. I talked to Isaac after, and he's like, one, he won't forget me. He knows who I am now. And two, I got a chance to be the one that brought out the personality of John Summerall. And so I think, one, Isaac handled that like a true professional.
Yeah.
But two, Isaac also gave us one of the best moments of that whole thing when he asked it. And look, John was hilarious. He took advantage of it. He, dropped the maybe cuz, put it on a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, when they're off to a good start, like somebody says maybe we're back, and then he can say drop the maybe cuz. I mean, I'm just saying there's some merch. Any of those merch people out there that's listening to this
might clear scare money, don't make money.
It might clear by far. I mean, yeah. And so I think that was a lot of fun. And really just hearing the way he's handled being the coach at both places right now. He's handled it probably better than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's another couple coaches like Bob Chesney's doing it. He's doing a little bit more low key. You would never know that he was kind of the UCLA coach and the James Madison coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's been fun to watch John be very much like, go Wave, go Gators. Go Wave, go Gators. Like, he wants to be
Yeah, did you see this tweet the other day that was like, two jobs, 2 teams, 2 hours of sleep or something like that. And that was really, really funny. And he had like the AI split, house divided kind of outfit on with the, meshing logos. And it was really funny.
Yeah. No, I loved that. Because I think, look, that you want a coach that's all in. And I think he truly is. He's just doing it where he's all in for Tulane and he's all in for Florida. And so imagine now he takes the all in he's got for Tulane and the all in for Florida, puts that together as all in for Florida. That dude's going to be a psychopath for Florida football, just truthfully. And I mean that in a loving way. If for some reason Coach Summerall hears that and he goes, why does this man call me a psychopath? I mean that in the best way.
Yeah.
I love his attitude. I think he's the kind of guy that can turn a program around and really put a stamp on it. And I think the most refreshing thing, if I'm a Florida fan right now, is I'm hearing this guy basically say, I don't care about winning 5 games, being bowl eligible.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about winning SEC titles. I care about winning national titles. Mm-hmm. This dude wants to be at Florida. I think that's a key. He wants to win a national title, and he wouldn't have taken this job if he didn't think he could. I think that's the big thing, is like people don't realize, like, he had his pick of the litter. Like, he could pick any job he wanted, pretty much outside of wherever Lane Kiffin, wherever Lane Kiffin went. That was the only job that he couldn't get.
Yeah.
And truthfully, it's not that he couldn't get that job. It's just like, if Lane stays at Ole Miss,
he would have went to
LSU is his another option for him.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good this guy is. And so, like, no matter what happens in 4 to 5 years, if it ends up being a hire that Florida fans look back on and go, man, we got the wrong guy, I want them to remember that in the moment, he was the right guy. He really was. Because I think that got lost with Billy Napier at some point.
Yeah.
The plot got lost a little bit. Billy Napier was a hot name coming out of ULL.
Yeah, like Tennessee
everybody
wanted him. Right. There was definitely a lot of programs. Like I remember Tennessee also had interest in them, but then obviously they got Heupel. So there's so much interest with Summerall, and yeah, I agree. I mean, it's kind of like there was so many open vacancies this season. There's like 20 plus coaches that have been fired, and obviously LSU, Florida are the two top programs, two top openings, for coaches. And I think this was ultimately the right hire as well. I feel like the only thing that kind of frustrated me was like the Lincoln Riley rumors. I don't know how true that was. But I think, yeah, as of Summerall, like I'm bought in. And I think he's going to be great for the culture. And you know what? Like Billy Napier, he definitely left this program better than he found it. So he is kind of, giving Summerall this program that has discipline, has foundation, has all of these requirements that can make Summerall kind of come into a good situation and win right away. Like you don't have to go through another 3-year rebuild to be successful here at Florida, especially with the roster. Like if we maintain the roster and like really go hard in the transfer portal and with our new recruiting class, like I think this is a team that can do really well next year. And with the right coaching, with the right direction, like he's really going to take over something that has the fans have a passionate about. Like we're always going to be there. We're always going to pack the swamp and consecutive sellouts. Like Coach Summerall also mentioned that in his press conference. And this is we have boosters. We have such great athletic leadership that really cares about the success of this program, that I think I think with the negativity, obviously we could be cautiously optimistic, but it really doesn't hurt to go all in with Summerall. Like give him a chance. Let's see how he does. And yeah, so we'll see for next season, which should be it is an easier schedule than this season.
Definitely an easier schedule. Overall though, I think if you were a Florida fan, when the year started, Jordan, I'm going to ask you this question. When 2024 flipped over to 2025, if I told you that what would happen over the next year, would you be satisfied as a Florida fan?
Yes, I would. Just because we won the national championship. So I think the national championship really has bought Gator fans another like 5 years of being like, okay, we're kind of, I think that has really, we haven't experienced something like that in a really long time, since 2008. So it's been a really long time. So that really, I think, gave us a spark, gave this fandom the spark it needed to be like, this is a winning program. This is, we can win in the modern day NIL era. And that really, I think, gave us a lot of hope. With the football program, I would be shocked. I think if you told me in January how this football season would go, I'd be like, what? Because DJ Lagway, we had huge expectations. Billy Napier, we had higher expectations, right? So if you would have told me that we would have went 4-8, I would have been very confused. Yeah.
Yeah, the lies being told when I showed up on campus were running rampant. We had the DJ Lagway Heisman. We had national championship or playoff potential. I heard it all. Well, as soon as I got here, I heard it all, Jordan. And then all of a sudden,
we had the history repeats itself. The basketball wins, and now football's going to win.
Yeah. Look, I heard everything. That it was, I mean, we got, there were a lot of lies told. And I've already heard some Gator fans telling me, I'm ready to start telling lies again with John Summerall. And so, look, I think that, and look, I would not be shocked if this Florida basketball team goes out, beats Georgia, beats Missouri, and beats Vandy and Tennessee. If there won't be some lies starting up again, or potentially truths. Look, I still think this basketball team has a high ceiling. Final Four you may be spot on with that. But again, if I told you beginning of right now, if I told you right now that Florida could lock in the Final Four and that be it, they don't get to win the national championship, but they for sure get Final Four,
I would be content.
I think you'd probably, if you're a Florida fan, you take that and you run with it. You're happy with it.
Back-to-back Final Fours, 7th Final Four of the program, I would take that immediately.
Yeah. Like if I gave you the choice of you can let the season play out and see what happens, and maybe you win a national championship, or I immediately guarantee you Final Four, you get nothing else, you lose in the Final Four. I think you just take the Final Four, right? Like with them being 5-4, you're okay with that. So I think, you know, if they hit the ceiling you've kind of set for them, I think everybody's content and happy, especially where they are right now. Back-to-back Final Fours would be massive for Todd Golden. I think it helps with recruiting, truthfully, because that's another thing. Like, the recruiting class has not been up where, and some of that could be beyond my brain to be able to handle all of like the how
I feel like
NIL
basketball
and stuff.
recruiting is definitely like less. We definitely see less of it than football recruiting. Well, it makes sense, it's a smaller team. However, I also agree. I feel like with our program, we're not really focused on recruiting too much, and I'm not gonna say
he's done well in the portal though.
Right, exactly. I'm not gonna say that this is a concern just because you know of how well he develops guys from the transfer portal. However, I do think at some point you do need to get a Cameron Boozer. You do need to get like a Cooper Flag. Like they might be one and done, but Anthony Edwards, like these kind of names that you know they're going to be lottery picks. You know, like you kind of need that kind of talent, even if they're only going to be here for 1 year, but that they are going to drop 30 every night. Like I feel like you kind of need that. And for the visibility and the status of the program as well. Obviously one guy can't do everything. However, I just think having a notable name, and as Florida, you know, as Todd Golden kind of stays here in his tenure, he's going to, I think, bring Florida. Florida's already now in talks with like becoming like a new blue blood. So if you solidify that status, you're going to have more of your pick with these recruits, right? You're going to have a shot at those like top 20 ESPN, like 5-star recruits. So we'll see. We definitely just have to like sustain success in basketball, which is very hard to do. But hey, I mean, like Florida is one of the top basketball programs in the past 20 years. So it's very possible. And I do think that Todd Golden, you know, obviously right person for this job. And like he has a lot of fire in him. He wants to win and he can bring up a really great team. So
yeah, I'm excited to see where that goes and really excited to see what happens the rest of the season. But more importantly, I'm excited to see where you go in this career. I think you, just to kind of send you out on a good note, you've been a wonderful person to be able to have on Overtime. I'm excited to see what you do with your career. This is a name, folks, you need to know it, Jordan Liu. She's going to do some really wonderful things in this industry and this career. So, Jordan, thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming back on one last time. Allow me to, co-host with you for the last, few months, and excited to see where you go from here. And congratulations on graduating and whatever you may do in this next chapter of your life.
Yes, thank you, Justin.